soulmates. Let's get into it. Good day, soulmate.
Good day, good day.
How's it going, Gus?
Pretty good, Keana. We are here once again at Make It Make Sense. Here to talk about the things that people don't want to talk about, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
Time to heal out loud. Healing is real.
What are we talking about today, Keana?
So we are talking about sinners.
Sinners.
And I want to talk about sinners because I've been seeing a lot of controversy between people calling the movie demonic.
The movie Sinners.
Yes, the movie by Ryan Coogler that just came out on Easter weekend, which was not by accident. Of course, that was designed. It came out on Good Friday. Absolutely. And I want us to talk about it because there's a lot of things that happen in the movie that I believe a lot of people didn't understand. I think it went over their heads because there's deeper undertones and messages and spiritual meanings in the movie that I think Ryan Coogler did an excellent job of capturing.
I do too.
So let's unpack it. Let's get into it.
I think, first of all, some of the initial reactions by a lot of religious people was that the movie was demonic. Right. Now, if you want to just look at it from the very simple aspects of the movie, yeah, there were some things that a lot of religious people would call demonic. But we need to stop using that word so freely and loosely. I think we tend to throw that word out there, demonic, to a lot of things without giving it a chance, without even watching a film, without reading a book, without watching a show. And we feel that everything that is not a church practice has to be demonic.
What exactly is it? I'm assuming they're talking about the vampires that are demonic.
I suppose so. I don't know, but we'll watch a Dracula movie and we don't call that demonic.
True.
But yet when we have a black film, we all of a sudden we want to like tear it down. We want to like.
But it's deeper than it being demonic because really what I saw in the movie is human beings, actual people being portrayed as vampires, which realistically we have in this world. People are vampires, energy vampires. Corporate America drains people.
Right.
Relationships drain people. Our communities drain us. So realistically, the movie is talking about real life, spiritual, energetic draining of the human spirit, the human soul. And it's deeper than just like a vampire sucking blood out of a movie like Dracula. Person, right. No, this is deeper. This is them actually sucking the life out of us and have been for centuries.
It's allegory. It's just a story that's giving you a greater picture of life. Same thing with the original Dracula movies. It's symbolic.
It is. And because this movie in particular is based on Black culture, filmed it's supposed to be representing Mississippi in 1932.
Right.
And you have Michael B. Jordan who's playing Smoke and Stack. They're twin brothers, which I love how they portray because that's essentially one body, two spirits, which we all have in us. We all have a Smoke and a Stack inside of us. That good versus that evil part of us, the part of us that we all have to either silence or suppress in order to get along in the world we live in.
One thing I liked in the movie is that everybody knew the brothers together. Like nobody knew them separately. It was Smoke and Stack.
Right.
And even though they had different personalities, they were known together as a pair.
Yeah.
One did this, the other did that, but they still had the same common goal. It was about that money, trying to get that money and get their business right.
And celebrate their culture.
Yeah.
Celebrate their history. And I like that. I like that they wanted to have a safe space for our people to come and enjoy themselves. Because we saw our people picking cotton during the day, working hard during the day. They want to have somewhere to fellowship, to listen to music. If they want to drink, that's part of their culture, but they're enjoying themselves. That's what I saw. And I think a lot of us try to do that. But I also saw that whenever we try to do something for us and enjoy ourselves, the others or somebody or something else going to tell us we're not doing it right. We can't do it like that.
Yeah.
Then they take it from us and make it their own.
Yeah. I like how you said they went to the cotton field. They went back and found their people and was like, hey, I got something for you.
That's right. He went back,
right.
Got cornbread, was like, I know you can use this money. Even his woman said, well, how much money is it? Because that point, she was tired of
Oh,
picking cotton.
when they gave her
Right in the
the
beginning, when
option.
they yes, and she pregnant, and she and the son, she like, listen, how much money is it? Because I'm tired of this.
Hey, just a little backstory. So if you haven't seen the movie, in that little scene, what it was, they was picking cotton, and so you had a husband and wife. They picking cotton side by side. You know, they doing that. And so Smoke and Stack, they come in and they say, "Hey, we got this opportunity. We want y'all to come work with us, come have some fun with us." And then the dude was like, "Well, I don't know if I can leave because I got a quota. You know what I'm saying?
That's
I got so much cotton to pick, and it was like, I can't leave right now." But the wife was like, how much money you talking? You know,
right?
Yeah. So that's what she was talking about, and it makes sense though. Sometimes you got to jump on an opportunity.
You do, but do you have to sell your soul to the devil for it? No, we shouldn't have to do that. But I think sometimes we inadvertently give away our power without knowing it, especially Black people. Right. We've kind of been giving away our power since the beginning of the time. But just to go back to these so-called
we get
into
demons that later.
or these vampires or the demonic, whatever that people choose to call it. To me, again, the vampires represented something more than just raw sucking blood. It represented, to me, white supremacy, exploitative labor systems, the emotional, spiritual burnout, performative allyship, and toxic masculinity is what I saw. That's what I consider vampires draining people, and society draining us. That's what the vampires represented for me.
I'm going to add to that manipulation, deceit, and using the name of love.
Toxic masculinity, absolutely.
These vampires, just to scale back a little bit, these vampires came in the name of love. They were supposed to be like
didn't they?
Like there was like a religious revitalizing type of group. They came in like they were supposed to be like, in the name
of, my goodness,
in the name of love and happiness. And
what were those little what is it?
Little banjos,
yes,
ukulele or something. It was
right.
Something. They was like
gosh,
singing like little happy tunes and everything, and in the name of love, like hippies or something. But
they tried to make it seem like it was all peaceful and kumbaya.
But those were the vampires, and
play in the name of love,
right?
Play in the name of love.
But that's symbolic of even not just today, but all of history.
Yep.
There's always going to be that guise or disguises. Am I saying that right? There's always going to be that, right? That veil.
Yeah.
That makes you think this is something of love, or even this is something of God.
It's something that's good for you.
Yeah. Everything that looks good or sounds good is not good for you, and that's what we're gonna kind of dive into a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I got from the movie.
Yeah.
Just thinking about even the characters in the movie, and they actually represented the 7 deadly sins. Now, I don't know if people thought about that, but even like Smoke and Stack. So Smoke was rooted in the dignity and past, where Stack, he was more rebellious, looking more along the lines for escape. But together, they do show how we, as individuals, like I said, we split ourselves just to survive. So we've seen that.
Yeah, we do. So even though they were a pair of twins representing that, like every one of us could split ourselves. Like you said,
we all got a Smoke and a Stack in us.
Right. We have different natures. We got different points of our consciousness. We got different moods that we make choices in. You know, sometimes you do this, sometimes you do that. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. You know, right? So
it's good with the bad.
Right.
Good with the bad. So I just wanted to again go back to the characters for a minute, because I want to explain. So we talk about Smoke and Stack, but we also had envy, and we can see this, like I said, also in Stack, watching others escape and wondering why not me. Remember, I think he kind of talked about that in the movie, in the beginning. What they always thought, how they grew up. They talked about their father, because one of them had to kill the father, remember? Because he had to save his brother. So they went to Chicago, tried to make a name for themselves, worked for Al Capone, stole the whiskey from the Irish, and who else did they steal from? Was it the Irish and I forgot what other.
I forgot, it was.
But I know they stole the alcohol, came back to Mississippi. So they trying to rebuild. They trying to create something different than what they've ever seen. But then you have Cornbread, who, like I said, he was out there picking cotton. Wife said, how much money? Go ahead, go work. But I think Cornbread was more of the wrath character in terms of the sin because of his rage, inherited rage, and often unspoken. Like you said, I got a quota to fill. He afraid because if he don't fill his quota, what's gonna happen?
But here's the flip side. He got all this rage, but at the same time scared. And he was one of the first ones to get bitten by the vampire. Right.
Even Delta Slim, I would say, represents sloth, right? Because when we saw him in the beginning, he was just sitting there playing his harmonica, drinking.
Right.
And he basically was like, I give you corn liquor every night. You come play with us.
But at the same time, he had a sense of money. Not money, but just making money and working for it. He was drunk.
Yeah.
He was drunk, but he knew that he had his stability at this other club.
That's true.
So that was his little bit of resistance. So basically, Stack and Smoke was trying to get this guy to come and play music at their club, at their juke joint. But he was already hired at another place. He was like,
10 years.
Right, he's like, I'm there for 10 years, and they're going to be there for 10 years more. And I can drink all the liquor I want to drink and get paid.
But why was he drinking though? See, then later on we found out the emotional wounds that he had been holding on to. He talked about the story about what happened when Smoke and Stack left and then the struggles they had with the white man in Mississippi. I can see why he drank himself to death. Emotional shutting down. That's just like most black men. We numb. They numb themselves for alcoholism or something else.
Or something, yeah, right.
Right. So that again is something that is realistic in our world, but I don't know if people saw that, if they correlated the two. Even the greed. I guess if you were to look at Grace Child, for example, even though she wanted to fight for her family, you can almost kind of see her as being greedy, where scarcity was a survival strategy for her. Because she grew up in scarcity. You see, she made sure, I can make this sign for you. What time you need me to be there? It's a rush job, but I will be there. Me and my husband going to make it happen. Because you pay us enough, we're going to be there. And then she ends up in the juke joint. Her husband ends up outside, and they threaten to harm her daughter.
Greed. It's funny you say that, because what I noticed is she charged them $14. Now, $14 in 1930
that's a lot of money.
Yeah, that probably would have been like $300 or something today. I don't know. I'm just guessing. But the sign that she made was so basic. Like she's like, what color? She was like, what color you need? And he was naming colors. You're like, no, we ain't got that.
Nope.
No, we ain't got that either. We got red.
Get this red sign and keep it moving.
And it was so basic, but they made their money.
They did.
And I think they got a cut out of the juke joint too.
Indeed.
Because they sold the liquor.
They sure did.
Yeah, they were smart. Everything. They were smart businessman.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, smart, but like you said, greed at the same time.
It is.
It was what's the word I'm looking for? It was what's the word where you were shrewd, shrewd business.
That's exactly what it was.
That's what it was. Oh, what was you about to say?
I was gonna say, looking at the one character, Pearline, who we saw her by the train station.
Okay.
And she said, I just came to bury my mother. She ended up at the juke joint that night. And her response to her grief was this overindulgence. She was determined to be with this man. She just couldn't leave him alone. She definitely got with which one was it? Was it Smoke that she got with? No.
No. Sammy.
No. I'm not talking about. I'm talking about. Oh no, you're right. That's Pearline. Yes, right, Pearline did.
So she was the one. She came without her husband.
She did. He invited her. He saw her at the train station. Sammy, right? Flirted with her.
Right.
She showed up.
She wasn't trying to have it at first, but he was persistent. He was like, what did he say? I forget. He said something
she said, don't get yourself in trouble. Don't bite off more than you can handle or something when she walked away. But she showed up that night.
He's basically like, I'm old enough for it. You know what I'm saying? I got a big bite or something.
Yeah. but she showed up.
Yeah.
So the characters definitely represented a lot of things that we actually see in the Bible. But I don't know if Christians picked up on it. I think they were too busy looking at the vampires and I guess the demonic undertones in the movie. And I don't know if they missed that this is more than just a sin story. It's really a survivor story.
I mean, well, the fact that the movie is called Sinners in the first place, that's a clue. It's letting you know. It's pointing out the sins. So sometimes we as Christians, and yes, we call ourselves Christians, but we ain't one of y'all though. But sometimes we put ourselves in a different type of position of being overly critical. Mm-hmm. And we miss the story that we're supposed to get. Right. We miss the lesson that you're supposed to get. And you do it with the Bible too. A lot of y'all read the Bible and you're so basic with your thinking that you don't even understand the moral of the story you're supposed to be learning. So sometimes you gotta like scale back and think, use your critical thinking skills. If you watch a movie, don't start complaining about everything and talking about what's demonic. Get that word out of your head sometime and just watch a film and have some fun so you can get the message.
I did not call the righteousness, but sinners to repentance. Because we are all sinners.
Right.
We are all meant to be sinners. So when you don't even understand the sin within, how do you learn from it? And I think that was what Ryan Coogler was trying to show in the movie. And it wasn't us that were the sinners. I mean, yeah, we all are. But bigger than that, it was the fact that they were taking away our culture, our lineage, our ancestral stories. Our entire culture was basically wiped out. They made it look like when Sammy was in the juke joint playing the music, I love that scene where he showed the original origins of our history, our music, where it came from, back to our ancestral lineages in Africa, how they danced to the music.
Right.
Some might have saw it as hoodoo and voodoo, but realistically, this is how we would always pay homage to spirituality, to our ancestors before the colonizers took it away from us, wiped it out, and told us we had to practice their religion.
Well, every culture, including biblical cultures, they all had a sense of ancestors. Mm-hmm. So why is it that's something that we call taboo? Every time we start talking about ancestors or spiritual practices that we can also find in the Bible too, why do we want to call it witchcraft? We want to call it something. We want to call it something other than what it is, our original spirituality.
Who told us it was witchcraft? Where did we even get that term from? Exactly.
Exactly. Where'd you get that from?
Exactly. And that's it, because they were paying homage to our ancestors. Our ancestors died on those lands. So absolutely their souls, their spirits still live there. So when you saw, what I saw in the movie was them talking about our ancestors, their spirits still living on inside the juke joint when Sammy was playing the music. He was bridging our old lineage, our old history with our new current lineage. Well, in 1932, but the music was still the key thing that tied in both the Christians and the sinners. Because at the core of our essence as Black people is our music. That is our history.
Yeah. I think when I saw that scene, I took it as music is something that has existed throughout all the generations, throughout all the history, and it's a part of everyone's spirituality. Whether it's like you're a spiritual being no matter where you are. Yeah. Even whether you're in the juke joint or you're in the church, you are still a spiritual being. And music still moves you the exact same way. If we playing music in the church and it's all and everybody
and you still dancing,
you get moved by music the exact same way as somebody in the club or anywhere else. Right. Music plays its role. Now, what you choose to do with your emotionalism when you get that hypeness, that's up to you. Like we all have free will and we can choose how we behave. If you want to do something sinful, you can do that. Simple.
I agree.
Or you want to do something that's going to be not beneficial to you, do something that's going to harm you in some way, that's up to you.
But music is not that. Music ain't demonic. Music is sacred. It's healing.
It is.
It's alignment.
It's a tool. It's how you use it.
What we use to do and how we utilize the music, what we create with the music. Just like anything that we touch, anything that we do. We all have those gifts. And in the movie, music was one of the spiritual gifts. Yet, Sammy was taught by his father, no, because you're playing the devil's music, you're going to be exposed to that world.
Which, okay, so he had a little bit of wisdom there, just knowing that the potentiality was there. But just because a person has a guitar in his hand and he's going to go play in a club, that doesn't dictate that person is going to get into anything sinful. It doesn't mean that
he's going to end up being a bad person.
Right,
because
exactly.
Just because you sin doesn't make you a bad person. And I guess we're like I said, we are human beings. We will sin. It's a matter of learning from it. And if you intentionally sin, then that makes you a bad person. But in that sense, I felt like Sammy was a young man still learning his way. And he had a passion for wanting to play music. He played it in church, but he wanted to play it out there too.
So he can make some money.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing. And so I think we have motives for what we want to do. Like you can have a passion for wanting to be a musician or whatever, but you also want to make a living doing it. Mm-hmm. If it's your passion, that's just what you want to do. I don't believe that little Sammy, preacher boy, that's what they call him, he didn't have any bad intentions at all. He just had a passion.
That's it. And I think he was a prophet, not a sinner. He wasn't a preacher boy. He was a prophet. He was using his spiritual gift, his gift of music, and it moved through him. That's what I mean by spirituality. It moves through us, in us. We embody it. And
at all times.
At all
times. No matter
times.
where you're at. Right.
And when you get outside influences, things like money, like cultural appropriation, or things outside of us and our spirituality is when we get distracted, when we become disconnected.
Right.
When the sinners and the demons start coming at us, it's because we've allowed them to get too close. We've allowed them to infiltrate our spirit, our sacred connection with the divine. So if you already got this lock and covenant with spirit, you don't have no worries.
Right, already covered.
I'm already covered. Right, so I guess that's why I couldn't understand why people was like, oh my God, it's demonic. It's going to kill your spirit and suck your soul. I don't know the stuff that I was seeing. I was like, wait, really? Wow.
It just comes from fear. Like we have a fear, such a fear. I don't know where we developed this fear.
You know where we developed this fear.
I do know. I guess I should say I don't understand why we developed this fear of.
We woke up like this.
Right.
Scared we have this fear because I'm going to be honest. Most of us are taught to practice somebody else's religion. And it was that religion that instilled the fear in us. When you even begin with the Old Testament of the Bible, it was very much based in fear. God was punishing. God was hurting people, judging people, killing people. God was doing a lot of evil things. Solo vibrational, by the way. Solo vibrational.
Yeah.
Because living in a state of fear is a low level of consciousness. The furthest thing away from the divine. So if we're living in a state of fear and God is up here, we're never going to be in alignment with God if we continue to live in a fear-based world.
Honestly, I'm going to be honest. I think when you mentioned that type of stuff, what God did in the Old Testament, I really have a belief, and I've always believed this, even from childhood. Those stories is our way of putting words in God's mouth.
Thank you.
Like, sometimes and we do this today. We do things and we allow things to happen and we say, oh, God let that happen, or God made this happen, or God allowed me to overcome this. God made me, kill this person and get above everybody else. That's you saying that. Those are human attributes.
God puts us in a position for us to make choices.
Right.
That's all.
And then we explain it away as God doing it. I don't like to call the Bible mythology, but in essence, it kind of is. It kind of is, because those are human people writing stories. And we can say that they were inspired to write the stories. Mm-hmm. Okay, they were divinely inspired. Okay, stories mean something. But at the same time, these are human actions. And we trying to say that God is doing these human things. No, these are humans doing human things.
And that's what, going back to the movie, that's why I'm like, wake up. The demons are us. We are our own demons.
Right. Ain't no devil making you do nothing.
Like, the devil is within.
You doing what you like to do, first of all.
That part. Because if you're not in alignment with the divine, with your spirituality, with the spirit within, then the devil is going to creep in. Why? Because you're living in a low vibrational state. So your mind, your soul, your spirit, your thinking from a low state where the devil is easy to penetrate. How about that? That's why we are our own devil. Because we look at things from a fear-based glasses half empty mentality. That's why we are our own devil. But when you're living in love and alignment with God, you don't have to worry about a devil showing up because you're in alignment. Yes, you're going to get tested. Yes, you will be challenged. But when you're in alignment and you know why you're here and who you're serving, none of that bothers you.
Yeah, you won't fall for it.
You won't.
I have an example, and I'm going to use Jesus as an example. So, when Jesus, before he started his ministry in the Bible, he was tested. He was led by the Spirit to go be tested. He was led into the wilderness, and supposedly the devil came to tempt him, right? But here's the thing. The devil, who was in his own head, knew exactly how to tempt him. He knew what could have potentially got to Jesus.
Plays on Jesus' fears.
His fears, and also a little bit of his pride too. So what he did was he told Jesus, he said, I'm going to take you up to this high place, and I want you to look. You see all the kingdoms of the world. If you bow and worship me, I'll give you all these kingdoms. Now, that played on Jesus because he already grew up knowing that he was going to be somebody. He already had a feeling of, okay, something's going to happen. I'm going to be great. Maybe I can take over this world. Maybe I can overuse my power. Maybe I can abuse my power.
Maybe I can manipulate.
Maybe I can't. Right, exactly. Jesus grew up with all of those tendencies, so the devil knew how to come at him in the story. So again, we're in agreement with this. The devil is not a person. He's not a person walking around with horns in his tail. He's not a person somewhere that sits on your shoulder and influences you and whispers in your ear, go do this.
That's our, like you said, that's our pride, that's our ego, it's the ego.
It's in your mind. It's in your mind. But the devil knew how to get to Jesus because he knew what was in his mind. And as we just said, if you're in alignment with God the way Jesus was, the temptation doesn't make you cry.
I ain't got no worse.
And that's what we're going to have to learn how to do. We have to learn to emulate that lesson.
This is the test that we're having currently. A lot of us are experiencing this.
But first, you're going to have to realize that devil is in you. That devil is in your mind, and it only feeds off of your thoughts and your tendencies. You can't be tempted by something that you're not
bothered by.
Enticed by, right? Like, you're not going to tempt me with some whatever I don't like.
With your money, with your whatever, because we get tempted a lot.
Whatever it is I don't like, you can't tempt me with it. But you can tempt me with the stuff I do like. If you got something I like, you can tempt me with it.
And that's how they get us.
Right.
They tempt us a lot with money, cars, and, well, you know.
Right, money, power, sex, and fame.
Exactly.
All of that. But you're not going to tempt me with no squash or liver or something I don't like, you know? So
they're not going to try that.
Right, it's not going to work.
But to get back to the movie, we definitely digress.
Right,
but I need to make that point because it is, and then that's the thing. We are all going to be sinners at some point, and we're going. And if you learn the lesson when the next test come up, the next challenge comes up, you know how to think in alignment with God. And I think the movie Sinners is asking us, what do we do with our pain that we've inherited from our ancestors, from our parents, from society? And do we repeat it or do we reclaim it? And in the end, we see one of the brothers obviously turned into the vampire, dies, and the other brother basically ends up getting shot. But he reunited with his child and his child's mother on the other side. And then Sammy continues to grows up, become an old man, still playing the blues. And reconnects with one of his cousins. And they didn't bother him because he wasn't scared anymore. He talked to him and had a drink with him. He knew it was nothing. He just asked the question, like, why didn't you ever come for me? Why didn't you ever? And he said, I made a promise with my brother. I would leave you alone. So instead of him running and hiding and repeating it, Sammy continued to play music. He still used his God-given gift of music.
Because that was in him. Like, you can't take a passion
no matter
out of
what.
somebody.
And even though his daddy told him, put that guitar down, he had that little piece of guitar.
Yeah, he came in all beat up and everything,
did.
but he still had that. He wouldn't let
still
go
had
of
that
it.
God-given gift. And to me, that's the thing. That's the test. Sammy, like, no, I'm still playing my music because I know I can still play it and do something good with it. I can't control the people around me or outside of me, but I know my gift from God, and I'm gonna utilize it. And most people probably would have gave up. They probably would have ran, got scared. Sammy could have been a whole dope fiend after that encounter. I ain't trying to be funny, but I'm saying he could have got on heroin after that and just never was the same. But he continued to do his music.
Let's talk more about some of the actual things that maybe went wrong with the characters. Like everybody didn't make all the best choices. Like, we can admit that. Like, for instance, Mary. We didn't talk about her yet.
No.
Okay. So Mary was a character who, she was biracial. She had a relationship in the past with one of the twin brothers. But now, we weren't told this right away, but they had a breakup. And you were kind of led to believe that either maybe they just didn't get along or whatever, or he just was so wrapped up in his business that he just couldn't stay. But that really wasn't the case.
They left. Him and his brother left because, from which, as I recall, their mom raised them. And then they left.
Yeah, their mom, but actually it was her mother.
I mean, her mom. I'm sorry.
Yeah, her mother passed away. And her mother raised them, and she came around basically to find out why they didn't show up to the funeral. You remember why? Why?
They said they sent flowers. They had no intention on going to the funeral.
Yeah, but what we found out is that the brother that had a relationship with her basically pushed her away because of a fear that he had. If you remember, he was afraid that they would be under a lot of pressure or scrutiny or whatever. Or in that time, he thought that maybe he was going to get killed for having a relationship with a white woman or someone who appeared to be white. She was actually of mixed race, but she appeared to be white.
True. And, so that's a big risk back then. Do people still get upset about interracial dating in 2025?
Some, I suppose. I mean, I hear.
Why? I think I know that they do, but I guess I don't understand why. I think that's silly now. I always thought it was silly even back then, but I know I grew up in the 90s when Jungle Fever came out. And it was a big deal. And I just remember hearing it. Again, I don't know anything about interracial dating. I'm 1990, I don't know, was this 93? I'm a little girl, but I know what I was hearing. Why was that a big deal? And why is it a big deal now? I talked to my son about this because his dad dates a woman of an outside race. And I told him, I don't care who you date as long as you're happy.
Right.
But his dad and his girlfriend kind of they still have issues.
I think for some people, it comes out as a betrayal.
How does somebody you don't know betray you? How do they betray you if you don't even know these individuals?
It's not a betrayal, but I think people see it that way, as if you're choosing one race over another and saying that one is supposedly better than the other. If that's the case, that to me, that's the definition of racism.
Whoever said that dating somebody outside the race was racism? Because I guess I'm trying to figure out, why would another person be bothered by two people dating regardless of their race if you don't even know these people, number one? So why are you so bothered by it? What do them dating have to do with you, unless there's another deeply wounded insecurity within you?
Well, yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
And that's a you problem. And it's like, but why? What did somebody do to you of an opposite race or in your same race to make you feel that way? Because as far as I'm concerned, love doesn't have a color. Souls don't have a color. It's who you are on the inside.
Who you vibe with, who you...
That's right.
Right, yeah.
So for people to still have an issue with that, just, again, it goes back to the individual themselves. For you to have so much feeling and opinion about somebody else's dating choice, it says a lot about you.
Yeah, right.
But in 1932, I can see how that was
So
a struggle.
back then he was kind of like, oh no, I'm gonna get in trouble for this. So he basically pushed her away and pushed her on to somebody else and suggested that she go ahead and get with a white guy. But she still loved him, and that was the whole reason why she was still trying to come around.
She was.
She
basically risked herself to go out there because she was the first victim.
Yeah, right. Yeah, she was the first one to
go out there. She said, "I'm gonna get some money from him. I'm gonna get something out of him." Oh, did she?
Yeah.
And what happened? She came back and sucked him dry.
But they ended up back together in the end after
they
both became vampires.
That's right. Forever, ever.
Yeah.
But the movie didn't glorify sin to me, though.
It did not. So for all you people out there that's calling it demonic or it's glorifying sinners, that's not what this movie was about. It's called Sinners so that it could show you the sins. It's showing you who you are. It's showing pieces of us and who we are as sinners. We're all sinners. It's not glorifying sin. It's not glorifying vampirism, but it's showing you what the vampires symbolically do.
How about in the very beginning when the vampire ran up into the house and who tried to get the vampire out? The Native Americans.
Right.
But the lady put the shotgun to his face and told him to get off her property.
They called them the Indians. So there was a group of American Indians and they knew the vampire. They spotted him out and they was trying to hunt him down. But he running trying to find safety, the vampire. They trying to save the people, trying to basically warn everybody about the vampires. And they was clueless. They're like, no. They was hiding the vampire in the house.
Because he was a white man.
Now get this. They trying to hide the white dude vampire from the Indians as if the Indians was the bad guys. But they was the one trying to warn y'all about the vampire.
Good job, Ryan. I like that.
Man.
That probably went over a lot of people's heads too, because we already know who was here first. But exactly. So you had that. And that itself is the sin. So not only that, how do we feel about the KKK members selling this land to these black men, setting them up so that they can basically take their money and run?
Right.
Because they were all KKK members.
It was basically a fake sale. They were setting them up because they was going to burn down the place anyway. But let me go back to the Indians for a minute. Because I think we missed something. Now, what I got from that was the Indians were so spiritually in tune that they were able to recognize the vampires. What that symbolized is the indigenous people had an original sense of spirituality that in our culture got stripped away.
They took it straight from us, told us it was wrong.
The first thing they did is strip the American Indians away from their religion. The first thing they did to the slaves was strip away their sense of spirituality and religion.
Thank you. And now we're celebrating somebody else's religion.
Right.
And then when we try to reintroduce our religion, when I talk about spirituality, when I say my spirit guides, my own people look at me and judge me and tell me I'm wrong.
But why should you not be guided by spirit?
That's what I say. Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
Right. So what's the Holy Spirit? See, y'all do a lot of talking.
Benevolent souls, benevolent spirits. And people say, well, you got to be careful because all spirits. Once again, I don't live in a low vibrational fear-based state. I'm up here with my energy and my spirit guides. We're right here. Right. So we're in alignment. They're working on behalf of the divine, on behalf of me. I don't know anything about a negative.
Right. So
demonic spirit.
Now, I'm not going to act like I don't understand where people come from when they have these type of fears and talks. I get what you're trying to say, but you're coming at it from the wrong.
Do you know anybody personally that has ever experienced a situation with a negative spirit?
Yes. Yeah. So when I was very young, I did witness somebody who what we could say was possessed by something, a demon or something or whatever. So I actually witnessed an exorcism in a church.
Really?
Yeah, I've seen the convulsions, and girl was like out of her control, whatever. But I didn't know what to make of that, as a child. But so yes, there are spirits that you can come in contact with, but the point that we was just making is that not everybody is susceptible to that.
Mm-mm.
If you vibrating at a greater frequency, just like how I talked about Jesus couldn't be moved by the little temptations.
Mm-mm.
Everybody can't fall for it.
Mm-mm.
But if you at a lower vibration, if you at a lower level of consciousness, you are able to let things come into you. You are able to be influenced. You are able to be swept away by the type of stuff.
And when we say low levels of consciousness, soulmates, I mean fear, greed, gluttony, envy. Those things are considered low vibrational feelings, beings, energies, because in that state of mind, you're more susceptible to being desperate, to being desolate, to being thirsty, because your security is not in balance. You're not stable. Your root chakra, you're not grounded. So you're highly susceptible to temptation, to sins, because you're desperate and you're in a fear-based state.
Right.
So you're looking for something or somebody to make you feel better. Hence why a lot of us get into situations or relationships or get tempted by trouble when we're living in a fear-based state, living in a lower vibration. So when you talk about Jesus is at the highest vibration, right below God, right? So when I always tell people we are like Christ, like we can achieve Christ's consciousness.
You're supposed to. That's the whole point.
Right. But you have to release all the negative stuff. You can't vibrate high carrying ancestral trauma, old emotional trauma, old relationship trauma, old sexual trauma, financial trauma. You can't fly free and fly high when you have all of that weighing you down. And when people always try to talk about, well, the Bible says this and says that, the Bible is a state of vibration. When it started out, it was in a low vibration, but it moves, it elevates, it evolves. In the New Chapter, in the New Testament, things are supposed to be different. We're supposed to be elevating at a higher level of consciousness because Christ died.
Good point. The whole reason Jesus came about is to not rewrite the law.
No.
Not to change the law, but to fulfill it. Fulfill the law. In other words, give it its true meaning and point you in the right direction. So the people in the Old Testament, first of all, they asked for laws because they didn't know how to govern themselves. God didn't come down and say, I'm going to give you some laws. No, they asked for laws, but they couldn't even live by them. They didn't understand them. They didn't know how to really implement them into their real life. Right. Yeah. They didn't know how to make it make sense. Jesus came along to
help them understand it. I think Jesus
he was supposed to be the shining example of, okay, this is it. You put your laws into place, but now let me show you what it looks like when they actually lived out. And we're supposed to just emulate.
We're supposed to just emulate.
Yeah, emulate. But back to the movie. Where do we get?
I know. We digress because there's so many spiritual undertones in the movie that I just want those that judge this so harshly to actually.
And it was a lot of sins in the movie.
Yes,
let's not get that wrong.
There's a lot of sin in the Bible too.
I mean, so again, I got to reiterate this. The whole point of the movie, to me, was to point out the sin.
Yes.
Point out the mistakes.
Yes.
Every single one of these characters made some mistakes.
Absolutely.
Every single one of them. But that's the point, is showing you who you are and who we are. We all are people who are going to make mistakes.
What's been feeding on you?
Right.
Just like vampires was feeding on them.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what it makes you think like that.
Yeah.
What's feeding on me? What wounds am I carrying that weren't mine to begin with? We're carrying our ancestral wounds.
Right.
Them people just came in that Jew joint just to have a good time. They didn't sign up for their lives to end because the KKK wanted to just burn them up.
Right. But like, why would y'all be so scared and worried about a vampire story? It's a story. You don't know no real people running around biting people on the neck.
Well, some people like, said
you don't know.
Well, then that's. But see, here's the other thing, because no, you don't know real people biting you on your neck, sucking blood out of you. But you do know energy vampires if you don't have the right people around you.
Right.
So it's not just about actual vampires sucking blood out of you. There are actual people that can suck the soul in your life out of you and your finances.
But it's symbolic. So I'm saying, why y'all worried about a movie and trying to protest it and say don't go watch it?
Oh, they're protesting it?
I don't know. They will in a minute.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? That's the nature of it. That's what y'all do. Start talking. You might as well protest if you're getting on Facebook talking about don't go see it. Because it's what? It's a movie.
Go see it. Support the black man.
Or learn a lesson from it. It's some good lessons to be learned in the movie. Go find out.
It is. Really good lessons. Plus, it's Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah, go see him.
It was an excellent movie, though. I thought it was wonderful.
It was.
I hadn't seen a really good movie like that in a while. And I think a lot of movies that we're going to start to see will have spiritual undertones, spiritual meaning to them. Even the last Bad Boys.
I mean, a lot of movies do. And I always say this. If the writers of the Bible could have made movies, they would have made movies. You wouldn't have had all these scriptures. You would have had movies to watch.
You would have had Jesus Christ Superstar in the theaters.
Yeah. But go watch the movie, y'all.
Check out Sinners and let us know your thoughts, soulmates, after you've seen the movie. Hopefully, we didn't spoil it for you.
We didn't. We didn't tell the story.
Okay, right.
Go watch it. Come back. Jump in the comments. Let us know what you feel or what you didn't feel. Let us know if you agree or disagree.
Yeah.
Or,
let us know. Did it heal something inside of you? Did it wake you up?
Right. And if you like what we're doing, hit the like button and subscribe. That's like everybody says that. But
yes, make it make sense. So make sure you subscribe. We'll be dropping new episodes every week. You have any ideas, suggestions, anything you want to talk about that is not being talked about, please submit your comments, suggestions. I am an open book. I will talk about any and everything.
Yes.
Because I will, and I am.